right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Erica Oriens, and I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan Center for Student Success. Thank you for joining us today. Before I continue, can somebody tell me if you can hear me?
Yes, you're coming through just fine.
Okay, great. And can you see my screen?
Yes, yeah, yep.
Okay, great, good. Nothing's worse than on a webinar when you start talking and you still have yourself on mute, so I appreciate it. Also, if you haven't used Zoom before, this is a platform that we use for a lot of statewide meetings that we have virtually because it's a really easy way for people to communicate with each other. You can mute and unmute yourself. So it's probably easiest if you mute yourself while you're not talking. We can also share screens very easily, and I can navigate around to different places to show you things, and I can also turn screen sharing over to you. And there may be an occasion for us to do that when we have these calls. And then also there's a very simple to use chat feature. So if you have your screen maximized, you'll see maybe a green box, a small green box, and you can kind of hover around on that and you'll see various different kinds of controls. One of those things being a chat, and if you open that, you should be able to see that you can chat with the group, and then you can change that to chat with everyone or just chat with a specific person that's in the group. The other thing that we can do, which is really nice, and I could see an opportunity for us to do this, is we can use what Zoom calls breakout rooms. And so I can place different people in different breakout rooms. So during this call, if we wanted to meet in smaller groups, Zoom gives us that capability of separating people out in different chat rooms. We at the MCCA have moved to using Zoom a lot more than in-person meetings because, first of all, we can engage more people across the state, particularly our colleagues up in the UP, like at Bay College, who spend about 6 hours traveling to an in-person meeting downstate. We can do that much more easily virtually. And for those of you who live a little bit closer, you don't have to spend that couple of hours driving. Which is a nice way to save time as well. Like I said, we use this tool a lot, so I'm really used to it. But I recognize that all of you probably are not. So let me know if you have any feedback on how we could maximize the use of Zoom as well. The last thing, or last two things, one is you can do video. And so I just started my video, so you should have seen my picture pop up and see me talking in there with my little wireless headphones sticking out looking really silly. I tend to not do video as much because I find that it slows down or makes your audio kind of bounce a little bit, but happy to do that sometime when we all want to be able to see each other. Finally, I am recording this. And if you ever need to miss one of these calls, but you really want to hear what happened, we will have this recording, and then I will find a way to make this available to you. The folks at IHEP were encouraging us to use their learning management system tool to talk with each other. And I was just looking at that today to see if I can post videos and post documents on there. So I'll see if I can get that to work. If I can't, we will probably put the materials from these meetings on the MCCA website where we include all of our other materials. So that's about it for some of the logistics that I wanted to cover at the beginning. Any questions about that from you? And you can go ahead and just unmute yourself or add those in the chat. Great. Well, I'll continue to monitor the chat, and if you do come up with any questions, I'll continue to look at that. But I wanted to go ahead and today, for our first meeting here with the Degrees When Due, is really just to get to know each other a little bit more. This is a new kind of project for us at the Center for Student Success, the way that this is structured. And the way that IHEP has structured this is a little bit different than how other projects have worked, in the sense that in the past, typically MCCA or the Center for Student Success would have received a grant to support this work. And then we would have probably contracted with IHEP. In this model, IHEP received a grant, and then they're working with us in the states to be able to support our colleges in this kind of project. So it's slightly different. And what that means is they're using, or what they are also doing is supporting our institutions more through a coaching model, as opposed to us using an institute model where all of us would drive in for, 6 meetings a year or 6 events or something like that. They have engaged with coaches, and Gail Ives, who is the coach here in Michigan, is on our team as well. And Gail will have some time to talk about her coaching. But I want to use these state team calls for us to be able to engage with each other across the state. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. So with that, welcome. I want to talk a little bit about the MCCA. I'm going to ask those of you who are the leads for your institution if you can do some introductions today, which the question shouldn't be too hard. We'll talk a little bit about the Degrees When Due portal, or that learning management system. Gail is joining us to talk about a coaching update. And then we're just going to talk about a few engagement opportunities that we'll have throughout this year as we're working on this project. I don't expect we'll go all the way till 4:30, but you never know. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So first, some of you probably are really familiar with the Center for Student Success. And I noticed from the people that were accepting the meeting invitation that some of you may not be. So again, my name is Erica Oriens. I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan Center for Student Success. We are one of the centers of excellence in the Michigan Community College Association. The MCCA represents the 28 public community colleges in Michigan, and the primary purpose of, the primary mission of the MCCA is legislative advocacy. So our offices are based in Lansing, and my colleagues Mike Hansen and Aaron Shore spend the vast majority of their time advocating for public support of community colleges in Lansing. In 2011, MCCA partnered with the Kresge Foundation to create the Center for Student Success. And our vision is really to provide support to the 28 community colleges in Michigan in their efforts to improve student outcomes and to focus on student success. The Kresge Foundation is based in Troy, Michigan, and Michigan was the second student success center that was created in the country. The first was Arkansas. We were literally just a couple of months behind them. And then since then, there have been 15 student success centers that Kresge and other funders have supported across the state. We at the Center for Student Success are really tightly connected in with our MCCA's legislative purpose or legislative mission, because I think it was really brave of MCCA back in 2011 and our presidents and our trustees to say, we have a student success problem and we want to do something about it. And one of the ways that they did something about that was by creating the Center for Student Success. So we have been around since 2011, coming up on 8 years, I guess. And in that time, we have coordinated a couple dozen statewide initiatives. We're involved in the statewide transfer initiatives that some of you are participating in. We've done other projects like Project Win-Win or Credit When It's Due. We were the fiscal agent for the Consortium of Michigan Veterans Educators Grant. We brought the ALP program for English co-requisite remediation in Michigan, and we've been doing the Math Pathways work in Michigan as well. So we've been involved in a lot of work when it comes to student success initiatives in Michigan. And we are primarily funded through grants or other resources. One of those grants is a one-time appropriation from the state of Michigan to support our transfer work. But primarily, we fund our work through grants, although we do have financial support from all of Michigan's 28 community colleges. And we were the first Center for Student Success in the country to have support from our colleges. The screen that I have on here is just kind of a visual representation of our mission. And as I mentioned, we really focus on not only there are various aspects of the student success agenda that we focus on, convening like we are doing today, connecting policy and practice. And in the past, we've done a lot of work around improving data capacity and promoting research and knowledge management as well. And then to the extent that this is even possible, we try to provide some coherence across all of these initiatives. You know, a lot of times, for those of you who have been doing this work for a long time, you know that sometimes it feels like you're on, oh, we're just going to pick up another initiative that we're doing. And believe me, I know I can feel that way too. But we do try to provide some coherence along why we're doing this work. In terms of how this Degrees When Due fits into what IHEP is doing and how we see this fitting into our student success work, some of the institutions on this call, some of you were not, but many of you were involved in Project Win-Win, which was really our first attempt at adult re-engagement. Back very early on when the center started, we had a cohort of colleges that started in 2011, 2012, and then another cohort of colleges that did that in 2014. And we learned a lot from Project Win-Win. We saw a lot of gaps in how we were serving students after we identified those students who had earned over 50 credit hours but didn't earn a degree. You know, you begin to see why those students may not have graduated. So some of you, or some of our colleges, waived that $20 graduation fee. Others saw that their students had holds on their record for a very small amount of money that was preventing them from graduating, and they waived those fees. Other people saw the need to implement a more robust degree auditing system, so students knew what courses they needed to take to graduate. And all of that work in Michigan and other states as well really led to some of this guided pathways work that many of you have been working on, because that really revealed that it's just not clear what students need to take. And so doing some of that guided pathways work has really brought us to today, where if we are refocusing on that adult re-engagement, we have an opportunity to present to adults some new programs. We have a better way of showing them how they can complete their degree. And at most of our institutions, very good student support services to be able to get those students to graduation. So at the center and at the MCCA, we saw this as a great opportunity for us to join the IHEP project to revisit those adults in Michigan who have some college and no degree and may be interested in returning to college. Over the last, probably couple of decades, and I'm sure those of you who are in registrar's office and IR offices know this better than I do, that community colleges in Michigan and really across the country have, most of the students that we have lost are students that are over the age of 25. So we've lost enrollment among our adult students. We've gained enrollment, particularly among traditional students, and then also particularly among students who are under the age of 18 and dual enrolled, but we continue to lose ground on adult students. So this, I think, is another great opportunity for your institution to think about how you are serving adult students as well, as we've seen those numbers decline across the state too. So that's just a little bit about the Center for Student Success, how we got here, why we saw this as a good opportunity for us to participate in this kind of project. And so what I want to do now is put some of you on the spot who are leads of your project and ask you if you could introduce yourself, introduce your team members. If you want to click your little video on so that we can see you just for the time you're talking, that would be great. If you could just talk a little bit about why you decided to participate in this project, what you've done to get started, and one of the reasons that we want to have this call on a approximately a monthly basis is to identify opportunities where we can collaborate statewide or we can collaborate with other colleges. And so if you haven't thought of any of those right now, that's okay too. But if you've thought of any ways that you would want to collaborate with your peers across the state, I would appreciate it if you could share that in your introductions as well. So with that, I will ask if anybody from Deb, if you're on the call, or if anybody from Alpena Community College is on the call. Let me look through my list and see if Alpena was here. I don't see anybody from Alpena, so I will see if Travis, I see that you're on from Bay College. Could you do your introduction? Travis, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
All right. That's the first step. We're going to try video next.
Okay. Oh, look at that. We can see you. But now we can't hear you. Travis, can you hear me? Uh-oh. I think maybe we lost Bay. Oh, nope, they're still there. Oh, I think I'm going to unmute you. Travis, can you hear me? Okay. So Travis says in the chat that they're having some audio issues on their end. So I will go ahead and maybe we'll come back to you, Travis, and I'll ask Delta College and Emily, are you able to introduce your college?
Hi, Erica. Sure. I was trying to undo my video, but it won't let me, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. Now there's start the video, so I don't know if that helps.
Oh, we can see you now.
Oh, yay! Had I known I was going to be on camera. Anyway, so actually I'm Emily Clement from Delta College, and I am managing the team leader for the Degrees When Due. And my team consists of our registrar, Terry Gould, our institutional research, Kevin Hobart and Michael Wood, financial aid, Lisa Baker, and then I have the associate dean from our counseling advising, Shelley Robbie, our associate director from counseling advising, Jason Primo, and then our dean of students, Russ Curley, are all part of my team for the Degrees When Due, and we have met and just to have an initial meeting and kind of make sure we're kind of on board with things. We've kind of set a few parameters, but really we wanted to wait and see the expectation. So I've listened to a few things, and I think that when you have this video back out, I will probably have a meeting and show the video or send it on to them and ask them to review it. Ways that we can collaborate, I just always, as you know, I'm a big fan of macro, and I always believe that being involved in macro and is a great way to network with the other colleges and universities throughout the state. And, you know, we articulate with about 25 different high school or universities in the state, and are out of state as well, and about 40 high schools. So, I mean, I believe all of that's a good way to collaborate. Any questions? Did you hear me, or
Great,
was
thanks, Emily.
okay?
Yeah, we could hear
Maybe I was
you.
just speaking open air. Okay, good.
No, we could hear you.
Okay,
We
good.
could hear you. Good. Well, great. Sounds like you have a really wonderful cross-functional team of folks that you're bringing together from across the college. That's great.
I think so. Yes.
Good. Well, thank you. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Is anybody on? Amy, I know Amy wasn't going to be on from Glen Oaks. Is there anybody else that's on? Okay. We'll go ahead and skip Glen Oaks, and they can do their intro next time. Valerie, are you on from GRCC? Valerie, I'm going to try to unmute you. Valerie, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, now I can.
Okay, cool. And sorry, I don't have the video at this time, but we have a large group of folks that we've pulled together on our campus to kind of start this work. And we've met a couple of times, but I think our core team members are Ann Miloff from our Institutional Research and Planning Office, Eric Johnson, who's also on the call from IT, Yolanda Duncan, who I also think is on the call, who's our program director in advising. And then we have Jose Mora in our enrollment center, Christy Welling in financial aid, and Lakeisha Beck, who's our project manager in the records office, and Sheila Jones, who's our dean of instructional support. So a big group, and we have already identified our, our universe of students that we're going to be working with. And so we had actually kind of gotten a jump start because over the summer, before we even learned about this opportunity, we had started to look at the group of students that we did not catch when we did Win-Win a couple years ago, and started working through those. So this is just kind of a good way to expand that project and get some guidance and get to connect with other folks. So we're still working on our opportunities to collaborate, but I think we're pretty excited.
Great. Wonderful. Okay, Holly, Henry Ford College.
Hi there. I do not have video today, but I can introduce my team. I have Sean Stevens, who is the assistant registrar, and this is our steering team. We have Dr. Lori Gonko, who is our vice president for institutional research and reporting, and Dr. Chris Brzezinski, who's our director of institutional research. So we started small, knowing we're going to have to go bigger as we begin our data mining. And some of the things we've done to get started is we are establishing standing meetings for our steering team, started looking at other resources within the college that we are going to be needing, and also revisiting, as Valerie did, the Win-Win data.
Great. Have you thought about any opportunities to collaborate statewide or with other colleges?
No, except we thought about, as we develop some initiatives, if there was an opportunity, maybe on the LMS to start putting up some of the initiatives that we're doing so that maybe we can share with each other, so that, maybe somebody has a good idea and we want to learn from them. So we're not all reinventing the wheel at the same time.
That's a great idea. Good. Wonderful. Is Terry, are you on from Macomb? Or anybody from Macomb?
Yes. Sorry. Hi, Erica. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yep.
Oh, good. Yeah, my name is Terry Weekland. I'm from Macomb, and I have identified Michelle Koss as the Associate Dean of our Counseling and Advising Office as one of our team members. I have a few other folks in my sites, but I have not yet had an opportunity to approach their direct report administrator to make sure that they're comfortable with me inviting them to work on this project with me yet. So I'm in the process of sort of narrowing down my list of candidates to support me in this effort. As far as video goes, sorry, I'm on this, but I don't think I have the capability to show my face on my computer. Haven't figured my new computer out just yet. And as far as opportunities to collaborate, Macomb is involved with a project with Wayne State University and the Lumina Foundation to attempt to support their Warrior Way Back program. And we got involved with Wayne because we started to do some research about our adult learners, and when they stop out in Macomb, when they return, how well do they do? Because some of the folks that we found that were stopping out, when they came back, they didn't have financial aid resources available to them because they didn't do very well when they were first here. So we just started to kind of dig into that research about our adults to try to target that population. So really the work that we're doing with Wayne State was as a result of that research we did on our adult learner students. And we began to investigate offering funding opportunities in the way of grant dollars from the college. We're calling it our Second Chance Grant. And we're just trying to really target those students who are not aid eligible because they're not currently in SAP. So that's how we got connected with Wayne on the Lumina project. So we're really hoping to take that research that we did about our adult learners, expand upon that, and really develop a more robust way to do the outreach to our adult learner students and get them connected to the support services they need. In addition to that work that we're doing with Wayne State and the Lumina, we did adult learner focus groups in October, and we're waiting for our IR department to finish analyzing that data. Then we hope to use that information to survey our stop out adults and our returning adults to really get at the heart of the things that get in the way of them when they are on campus and trying to take classes, so that we can really change the way we go about serving them when we have them in our offices. So we're looking for opportunities to figure out other ways and using this connection to really make a difference that way with our adults.
Wow, that's great, Terry. I wonder if when you do have some of the information on those student focus groups, that might be something, even if your focus group protocol, the questions you ask them, if you could share that on the LMS, I think a lot of other people have thought about doing that too. So great.
One thing I do need to get is a link to the learning management system again. For some reason, I've lost it out of my browser and I can't find it. And I think it happened when I got my computer upgraded. So that would be lovely to have the link to sign into the LMS, because I know I've signed in, but now I can't find my link anywhere to get back to the login page.
Okay, I'll send that to you.
Appreciate it.
Erica, this is Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Hi. The link to the LMS is in one of our slides further on down. So in addition to sending it out to everybody, they can always look at these slides because I buried the link in there.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good. Matt at Mid.
Hi there. I am Matt at Mid. So I pushed the video button. We'll see if it connects or not.
It does. We can see you.
Okay, good. That's wonderful. So I am Matt at Mid. I'm the VP of Student Services. On our team right now, we've got, I'm just going to swing the camera around so we'll see if anybody gets busy. Brent Mishler, Director of Admissions, Hank Bryan, our Registrar, Peter Velguth, our person, and Carrie Kais-Toner, who does mentoring, advising, and retention. We, like others, started small. We're going to see where some of this takes us, and then we'll go from there. But we are excited really to start with this initiative. we've done the other initiatives that the state has embarked on in the past with limited and mixed success. We think this is unique because we get to share information with other schools a little bit differently. It's a little more collaborative, and the resources on the LMS seem really helpful. So hopefully throughout this training period, we'll come up with some good ideas. Like others, I think a lot of collaboration will just come from sharing ideas, best practices, sorts of things. That is probably going to be most useful for us, and we'll see where that takes us.
Great. Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
And team. Stephen, are you on from OCC?
Yes, I am. Can you see me?
I can.
All right. Well, I'm Steve Linden. I'm from Oakland Community College, where I'm the registrar. Some of you may recognize me. I did present at the Student Success Summit in East Lansing with Erica and Jason regarding the Degrees When Due project. And you know, in my resume, I do have Project Win-Win that I worked on, as well as Credit When It's Due for students as well, and have kind of continued some work with Project Win-Win, but we've more focused on currently enrolled students rather than students who have left the institution. So it's going to be nice to get back and start digging back into those who have left OCC without any kind of credential and really haven't, unfortunately, earned a credential anywhere else yet, to see what we can do for them to get them back into the swing and hopefully be degreed. And some of the things that I'm looking forward to as well for some of the opportunities is even to talk with the other schools, especially those, or even the different groups that are usually using similar student information systems, to learn from each other and see how we can really utilize the resources of those systems to help us do what we're doing better than we currently are. And right now for our team, we're still kind of coming together. It does include me. It also includes my supervisor, the Vice Chancellor for Student Services. But we've kind of got our eye on one or two people from institutional research and also IT that we're going to be bringing in to help us. Although for some of their work, they may be coming and going, or it may be different people from the department who will actually be providing assistance. And we're looking to really tap into the resources of each one of our counseling offices, because we have 5 campuses. So we're really looking to tap the resources of every counseling office that has the potential to be meeting with students who are the potentials, the ones who are close but don't quite have the degree yet. How can we work with them to get those students back with us, or pursuing opportunities elsewhere that they can bring back to OCC?
Great. Thanks, Steve.
Yep, thank you.
Is anybody on from Schoolcraft College? I know Lori couldn't make it. Is there anybody else on?
Yeah, hi, Erica. This is Carol Dwyer, and so I'm sitting in for Lori, as often is the case. Doesn't look like I have any video, so that's fine with me, but we'll work on that for the future. So we have identified our team, and that includes institutional research, our director, Michelle Stando, as well as Michelle Kelly, our fairly new Dean of Liberal Arts, but who's very eager to work with us and looks like it's going to be a really great resource, because I think we're going to concentrate primarily in our associate in arts, our transfer degrees. So Michelle's going to come in handy with making arrangements and adjustments to how we can help graduate people from those programs. Lori is the Associate Dean of Advising and Partnerships, just happens to be sick this week, so she's taken the lead on this. And then I serve as the transfer coordinator, and I am an academic advisor. So I did work on the Credit When It's Due project with Lori and with our registrar a few years back, so pretty familiar with that. We haven't had any meetings as of yet, or at least that I was included in. We've all participated in the various webinars. I know IR has actually a few people who've participated in those. So we're still pulling things together, but we at least have the team going, and we're pretty eager to get started on it and looking forward to the whole project. We've also got, we're just really busy time, and we're pulling staff together and actually kind of making a physical move too. So I see January is going to be a really, really important time to kick everything off here.
Great. Thanks, Carol. Pete, are you on from ST4, or anybody else from ST4?
Hello, Erica. This is Pete.
Hi, Pete.
Can you hear me? Hello. Can you guys hear me
Yep,
okay?
we can hear you.
Okay.
We can.
Pete, Vice President Students at FC4. I'm in the room with Sherry Artman, who also works in student services. One of our other team members, Michael Shea, really works advising, articulation area. He's not here today. Team-wise, I would just say we are also engaging IR. Our advising team will be critical in this work, our registrar as well, and then possibly our academic area. One of the things that we found through Credit Wins Due and Project Win-Win is even after all the effort was made to reach all of these adults and get them in, then we found they still needed a class for our gen ed that they really didn't want to take, they were never going to take, and they chose not to take. So, so we have revised our gen ed recently. So I think this new work will actually help in that regard, so that they're not taking something like a computer class, for example, to get the transfer degree. So we'll be working closely with academics as well. Certainly I see this as an opportunity for us to help our community. We are one of the lowest bachelor degree attaining communities in the state of Michigan. We have a lot of people with some credit, no degree, and trying to really work with them will be a great outreach for our college. We also have a unique program with our community foundation, and they started it last year called Complete Your Degree. And essentially their model is, instead of putting scholarship money into the front end and giving students awards to go to college, they're giving awards for finishing college. And so we've had some limited success in that already. We had a lady who was essentially less than a year away from her nursing degree, and some life happened and she had to step out. She come in and she actually graduated last May. And they will pay for some of those barriers like housing or your car insurance, or you need new tires. They'll do things like that in the program, which has been pretty cool. We have 30 students in that, many of which are adults. So,
wow, Pete, that's amazing. Yeah, that's great. Another opportunity, I think it would be great if you could share more information about that kind of reverse scholarship at the end there. That'd be something great to share. I know that there are several colleges that are thinking about how they can leverage their financial aid scholarship resources in that way too. So great, thanks for sharing.
Yes,
and finally, last but not least, is anybody on from West Shore? Or Jill? West Shore? See.
Erica, I'm on from Alpena.
Oh, great. Deb, could you, I don't think anybody's on from West Shore, but Deb, we basically are just going through and introducing ourselves, our team members, and then going through why you decided to participate, what you've done to get started, and maybe opportunities for statewide collaboration.
Well, I'm Debbie Bear. I'm the Vice President of Instruction, and I have not with me right now, this was hitting all of our meetings. Our Director of Institutional Research is Lisa Snyder, and our Registrar is Lori Dazinski. And so the three of us are basically taking this on. Prior to my coming to Alpena, we have done the previous programs, and it was highly successful. The college was very happy with the results, so we were actually going to take that on already, and decided to go with this project. So we have already started looking at students that are candidates, looking at both those that are close to finishing and potential projects that we can do to entice students back in. I've already met with our foundation people for potential scholarships or things like that. So we're just
great,
kind of anxious to get it going and looking at how we can make it work.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for sharing. I know I got an email from Travis, but Travis, do you want to try one more time to see if we can hear you? Let's see. Travis, I just unmuted you. Maybe that might work. Or maybe not. All right. Well, we'll hear from Bay next time we get together. They're trying out a new Zoom room to be able to join. So we can, Travis, if you can hear me, we can troubleshoot that after the meeting today as well, if you'd like. So thank you very much. I wrote down a lot of ways that you talked about opportunities to collaborate. One thing that I think I'm hearing that is an expansion of the work that we've done in this area before is just the various different ways that you're trying to offer funding opportunities for students, and recognizing whether that be because they are not financial aid eligible or run out of aid, or just simply because life gets in the way, that there's a lot of opportunities to learn from each other about how we're leveraging our foundations or how we're leveraging aid to be able to support these students. So I think that's a great opportunity for us to be able to work with each other. Steve, you mentioned the different SIS systems. I'll go ahead on the LMS system. I have a spreadsheet that Matt, who is it? The IR, McCare, maintains, with a list of all the SIS systems in the state at each institution. And so I will share that with all of you, because that's just a resource that a lot of people like to have, and it might be good to have on there. And then we'll just, talk about other ways that we can collaborate as the project continues as well. As we mentioned earlier, there is, and I think Matt mentioned, the really good resources that are available on the LMS that's maintained by IHEP. This is a degree, or this is a screenshot of what that looks like. And in the next couple of slides, we have a link to what that course looks like. This is what my page looks like. And so I have a state liaison discussion board as well. But you should have a discussion board for Michigan specifically. I put up an announcement about this particular meeting in there. And then you also should have the Degrees When Due adult reengagement sort of course in there as well, that you should see in your enrollment. If you don't have that, let us know, and we can work with you to get in touch with IHEP to make sure that you get access to that as well. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, but right now I want to turn it over to Gail Ives. Some of you may know Gail from when she was in IR at Mott Community College, and then after her retirement from Mott has worked with the Center for Student Success on various different projects over the years. And so we were very excited when IHEP reached out to Gail about being a coach, and then of course assigned her to be a coach here in Michigan. So we're excited to be working with Gail on this project again, and I will go ahead and turn it over to you, Gail.
Okay, so here's some video, I think. Maybe you can see me. And
we can.
Everybody can hear me. So I was going to say earlier, this feels a little bit like a reunion for many of us who slogged through Project Win-Win and Credit When It's Due, and wrangled the data and tried to bring those projects to successful fruition. Degrees When Due is sort of a next generation approach, but many of the same principles are involved. So any of you that worked with Project Win-Win in particular, some of the stuff is going to look very familiar, the steps and so on. And then of course there's a lot of you who had no involvement in any of those projects. And hopefully this iteration, it'll be easier in many ways, because we're going to live in this central LMS system. Prior initiatives had a lot of separate emails flying around and spreadsheets flying around and various meetings and so on. So the core to bringing us all together, and that will support a lot of the collaboration, is the learning management system. So I'm going to go down to the bottom bullet here. The question had come up about the link to sign in to the LMS. I actually had the exact same problem. I just had it open and then I ran some different things on my laptop and suddenly the link was gone. So you might want to bookmark this, the sign in link, because you and all of you on your team will have various times when you're going to be in and out of the LMS. The LMS system does not have a fun name. It's not a Blackboard. It's not a Brightspace. It's nothing fancy. It's just plain old LMS. So I don't know if they'll brand and give this thing a name at some point. But so, and we're going to talk a little bit more about navigating when you're in the LMS. But if you have any concerns about your account, your login or anything, do get directly to me or to IHEP. I think most of you have gotten emails from Leanne at IHEP, and that should give you your account information. But don't hesitate to reach out if you have any problems with that. One of the things that I wanted to focus on today is the set of documents. Erica, thank you for attaching those to the invitation, because there's a lot of stuff on the LMS system. But there's a few really important things to focus on at this point in the project. And I'm going to start by talking about the master Excel document, which is a template for reporting your progress and your metrics data. So as you, I'm sure, are familiar, these kinds of projects tend to have a lot of data associated with them. You're going to have, depending on the size of your college, you're going to have a lot of files of individual student information. But the IHEP research and reporting part really depends on you sending in aggregated data along a sequence of steps, which then they can bring up to the top, the actual top level project. So, but I'm really hammering on this Excel document, the implementation metrics template, because on your campus, you'll need to have a conversation about who is going to be the primary owner of your spreadsheet so that you don't run into any problems with version control on your campus itself. So if you haven't already had that conversation, I would really suggest that everybody should look at this template, but one entity, one person or office should have the primary control for keeping the core data entered. And then at various times throughout the project, you'll be uploading your aggregate files. So I'm going to just pause right there, and questions, I guess, can come in either on chat or audio. But first of all, did everybody see those attachments? Because Erica had put, I think there's 4 documents, but the one I'm talking about right now is the Excel spreadsheet for the implementation metrics. Oh, thank you, Erica. So there's a number of tabs in the spreadsheet, but it sort of walks you through this whole, the approach to data. And the tab here, tab 1, well, tab 2 is good too, but tab 1, if you haven't already had these conversations, this is a really important first step, and that is to talk through what you on your campus are going to do with your policies as relates to the time period you're looking at your students, the credit thresholds in terms of filtering out students that are the potentials close to but maybe not have completed their degree. All of these pieces, as you go through tab 1, are institution specific. So we don't all have to walk lockstep through this. But I want to know what your team and your institution has decided. And these are pretty straightforward questions. If you participated in Project Win-Win, you have seen these kind of questions before. You might have changed your answers, but that's okay. So the policies really set the stage for starting to draw down your student files and really get into your actual student records, the actual people. So after you go through that institutional policies step, then really the metric visual on tab 2 just gives you a flow chart of how the sequence of steps are going to move through. So I can't remember which college said that you'd already started to hone in on your metric 2, which is your universe of interest. But there's this set of steps that basically goes through a filtering a file, but starting with a very large group of students that have left your college at some point and have not received their associate degree. And then you're going to engage in your National Student Clearinghouse student tracker files. And that's an important step because the more clean filtering you can do, the less likely you are that you're going to talk to somebody who really is enrolled at another school or finished. And then when you get down to your metric 2, that is the universe of interest. That's where you look at either your eligibles in awarding degrees or your potentials, which you move into your communications and advising work. So now let me pause there because at this point in the IHEP timeline, most of you should either be aware of your universe of interest or closing in on that group. If you're struggling with that or you're not sure how to get traction to get to that point, I will want to talk to you individually or with your campus team, because everything that follows in the whole project really relies on a good quality file of your universe of interest. So, and not everybody's going to handle all the data, so I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds here, but I just wanted to give you that sort of big picture. And then on the next couple of tabs in this spreadsheet, the definitions are in tab 3, and the actual template for this stage of the project, you're going to be looking at tab 4. So as you work through meetings at this point between now and the end of fall semester, this is really your homework. I was laughing this morning talking to the IHEP folks. I said, most of the LMS work is faculty and student. So I guess in this situation, you all are students and we want you to be successful completers. So I'm just going to pause there and wait to see, are there any questions? If there's more detailed technical questions, then I'm going to be talking about those discussion boards, so we'll get into that in a minute. Okay. All right. So Erica, if we could go back to your slides. Okay. Another one of the documents that Erica attached to the invite, and these will also, I'm going to put them out on our Michigan discussion board, the document attachments, just so that it, as long as you have them available, they can be anywhere you need them to be. The suggested milestone schedule, as you can see, we're in, I believe, early December. And so, but we got a slow start this fall, and for various reasons. But so don't sweat it too much if you haven't nailed all of these steps and sequences, especially as we went through the holiday weekend and all of that in November. But when I said earlier that basically this universe of interest, late November, early December, that's where we're at in terms of this timeline. There are some things, though, that I think some colleges and team members, you want to cycle back to some of these prior steps, these prior timeline deadlines. The gray row that initiation initiation block completed, that's really the core area that you're going to be working in the LMS. There you go. Nice, Erica. Very good. So when and I was talking through the LMS coordinator, talking with him this morning. And so I've started to boil this down to some 1, 2, 3, a couple of easy steps, because I know you are all so busy. This is a really crazy time of your semester. So I'm going to just say these verbally, and then I'll follow up with a post in the discussion board. And this is a sort of shorthand for the things that you and your team should be working on. So when you go into the LMS, the adult re-engagement path, it's got a little ribbon banner on the side of the box that says path. So that's where that and your discussion boards are really where you'll focus. When you go into the path for adult re-engagement, there's a launch pad step, and that really is just a survey. It's a single survey that one or more of you should talk through, and then one person submit it for your college. But the launch pad really just sort of gets the ball rolling. And then you move into the initiation block. And that's where this grayed out row is. The initiation block is where there's lots and lots of resources. For instance, sample agendas that can support your meeting so that you don't have to dream up all of the parts of an agenda. There are coaching resources. There's a glossary of detailed information. So that really, ideally, you're honing in on your initiation block, and particularly your work plan. When you go to the link that's called work plan, it really, it just flows. It takes you right through step by step of the things that you need to be able to accomplish and focus on. So that, basically 1, 2, 3, get in your path for adult re-engagement and get the Launchpad survey completed. And many of you have, but not everybody. Then move to the initiation block and start looking at your work plan. So those are just sort of the 1, 2, 3s of where we all are shooting for right at this part of the project. And so I'll pause there. Then again, I don't want to throw too much at you, but I know with this timeline and so on, everybody needs to just hone in like a laser and say, okay, exactly what needs to happen and where do I do it? All right. So then, and we'll follow up with more questions on all of that, and I'll write that up for you. And as we end fall semester, really the next thing you know, it's going to be January, and now we're starting to look at deadlines where we have to have some data organized and then uploaded for the template for the metrics. So the very first set of implementation metrics, we're shooting for January 20th. When you're on campus looking at your calendars, that's a key deadline, the very first thing, but then right after that, February 1st, there's the baseline key performance indicators. And these pieces of data support the research agenda that IHEP has and that we share with the Center for Student Success. So I want to get things on your radar. I want to make things as simple as possible, and I am available pretty much anytime. So either through the discussion boards on the LMS, which I will be checking every day, or direct email or phone call. I really don't have a problem with any of that. If you run into a question, I don't want your team to pause and wait for information. So the discussion boards, just the key thing here, there's 2 that you can use. One is for the state, and it's discussion board -Michigan. So that really speaks to all of us as a group. There's also individual discussion boards that are between just your campus and me as the coach and Eric as the liaison for the state. So if the question is very institution specific, then probably we should use the individual discussion board for your college. But back to this concept of collaboration, if there's any opportunity to share, ideas, questions, other initiatives that seem to have connections with our work in Degrees Windu, then we definitely want to all start using this. And the LMS, even though, you might, it's just one more thing you have to log into, but I think keeping everything in this single environment is going to be very helpful to all of us as we go through this. And so my role really is to help you in any way. I'm a coach, go team go. But really, we're looking for as simple a process on your end with the best results for your students. So I'll pause there.
Great, thanks. Does anybody have any questions for Gail? Okay. Well, good. So just a couple more slides we want to go through here. Gail covered this already a little bit. We wanted to point out, which we just did, looking at the Michigan Discussion Board. And so like Gail said, back in the IHEP LMS, on your dashboard, you should be able to go to the Degrees When Due Discussion Board for Michigan. I've found it a little bit clunky to figure out which one of these I need to click on, but that's okay. I think it's easy once you remember what to do. And this is where we can put some of that statewide collaboration work that we would like to do as well. In addition to that, we will have our monthly check-in calls on Zoom. This was more of an introductory discussion call, but I think each time Gail will provide us with a summary of what our upcoming deadlines are. As you probably have noticed, this project is, the way that it's structured, is very self-directed at your institution. And so we'll be checking in with you, but it's important to make sure that you have those deadlines in front of you so you can start to think ahead of what you can do, what you need to do as those dates roll through. You can get coaching from Gail. That is provided through IHEP with our state. Gail, is Michigan the only state you're coaching, or are you working with other states?
Well, actually, it's interesting. I'm working with just 2 colleges in Washington State, and one of them is Washington State University, and they're going to try and apply these principles to a bachelor's degree seeking population. So that's a little side group, a very small effort in Washington, but it's going to be interesting to see how that works with them. But otherwise, it's all Michigan all the time.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Michigan, I can report that Michigan does have the largest team in the country, so we are very proud of that with our institutions involved. So, and we'll be excited to hear what you learn from Washington as well. And I'm assuming when you're talking with other coaches in your IHEP coaching meetings too. Mm-hmm. And then, the other resource, I think you can always reach out to me. I will probably be less helpful than Gail on the actual Degrees When Due adult re-engagement process. But as you are thinking about how this work connects with some other work that you're doing, possibly around your guided pathways work, if I can help make connections to some of that. I just noticed before we came on here, I clicked on our transfer website that we're developing. So if you have any questions about how this work connects in with some of this transfer work as well, I'm happy to be a resource for that. You mentioned several ways that Michigan could collaborate, and I know offline, some of us have talked about the possibility of if you needed to survey students about their experiences, and MCCA could, we could all collectively create that kind of survey instrument together, and then, you might send that out to your students, but we would be able to collect all that information statewide would be one way of collaborating. I know that through this project, we're leveraging NSC, the student tracker files, quite a bit to be able to identify those students, but we also have a very robust student information system in the state through CEPI that might be another way for us to leverage that kind of work as well. I also noticed some of you in the chat while we were talked about some of the press release information that I have sent around for all of us that we could do press releases. And it doesn't look like most of you have sent out a press release yet. And frankly, we didn't do that at MCCA yet either. I wanted to make sure that we coordinated that with you. I think it can be helpful for you to locally talk about this work that you're doing. But certainly in the Michigan page on the LMS, let's talk about, as you consult with some of your marketing people on your team, when would be the right time to do that? And then how can I be of assistance with that? I know that I anticipate that this will be very valuable. The work that you're doing will be very, very valuable in our legislative advocacy, as we have a new governor and a whole new crop of legislators coming in this year. That this is really wonderful work to demonstrate our college's commitment to student success. So always use Gail and I as a resource. Lastly, you all should have received a calendar invitation from me for these team calls through Zoom. My practice is usually just to go ahead and schedule them throughout the year. With this many people involved, there is never a way to make sure that everybody can get there at the same time. So I try to schedule those at the end of the day, seems to work better for people, and then I scatter them across Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That seems to work pretty well for folks. I am recording this, and as I said at the top of the hour, I will find a place to post these. So if you do miss it, I always will share with you the slides, and then I'll also share the recording with you as well. So that if you feel like you need to join, you can watch the whole webinar, or you can just kind of zip through the slides as well to see what we talked about. Finally, I just included Gail and I's contact information on there. I know we provided it before, but if you haven't received an email from me, you have my email address on there as well. And before we close today, I'll ask if there are any final questions. Oh, Emily, I see you made a good point about the press release. Intended to help inform the community about the project before you start contacting students. Oh, I think that's a great idea to do that locally. If any of you are adapting that press release in advance of contacting your students directly, I think that would be another great thing to share. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would contribute to that as well. I think that's a great idea. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, terrific. Well, thank you all for joining today. I hope you are able to get started. Always contact Gail and I if you have any questions. And if I don't speak with some of you before, I will speak with you after the new year on January 16th. So I hope you have a happy new year. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.